Hello and welcome to This Date in History, aka TDH. This show is all about the events that occurred today in years past, both recognized by actual historians, but mainly things I personally find intriguing enough for me to bring to you. The source of this information comes from the smart device application On This Day, the icon of which is shown as cutoff prevention at the beginning and end of each episode. The music in the background is Cloud 10 by Fareoh, which I found on the YouTube channel No Copyright Sounds, aka NCS. For links to the app, music, and anything else potentially interesting, check the underbar. Now, let's all sit back, relax, and put our history caps on because I'm about to take you through memory lane, and it's not all sunshine and rainbows, let me tell you that much, man. Today is Jason's Day, Friday the 13th of May, 2016. In 2015, an industrial fire in Valenzuela, Philippines caused the deaths of 72 people. Obviously the work of Jason Voorhees. In 2014, major floods in Southeast Europe resulted in the loss of 47 lives. Damn it, Jason! Also in 2014, an explosion at an underground coal mine in southwestern Turkey killed 301 miners. Jason, stop! In 2012, 49 dismembered bodies were discovered by Mexican authorities on Mexican Federal Highway 40. Do I really need to say it? All jokes aside, those were real events and truly tragic, and I apologize for making light of such horrid things, but I couldn't resist. Once again, I am sorry. In 2006, rebellions broke out in several prisons in Brazil, which makes me wonder if there's some underground criminal coalition over there. In 1998, India carried out 2 nuclear tests at Cochrane, following the 3 conducted on May 11th, just 2 days prior. In response, the United States and Japan then imposed economic sanctions on India. In 1995, Alison Hargreaves, a 33-year-old British mother, became the first woman to conquer Everest without oxygen or the help of Sherpas. In 1994, Johnny Carson made his last television appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman. In 1981, Muhammad Ali Agca attempted to assassinate Pope John Paul II in St. Peter's Square in Rome. The Pope was rushed to the Agostino Gemelli University Polyclinic and underwent emergency surgery and survived. In 1969, Dr. Zakir Hussain became the 3rd president of India and the first Muslim president of the Indian Union, and held his political position until August 24th, 1969. In 1960, hundreds of students of the University of California at Berkeley congregated for the first day of protest against a visit by the House Committee of Non-U.S. Activities. 31 students were arrested and the free speech movement was born, yet the voice of the people started getting smaller and smaller until it is... In 1958, Ben Carlin became the first and currently still only person to circumnavigate the world via amphibious vehicle, having traveled over 17,000 kilometers or 11,000 miles by sea and 62,000 kilometers or 39,000 miles by land during a 10-year journey. In 1958, during the May of 1958 crisis, a group of French military officials led a coup in Algiers, demanding a government of national unity to be formed with Charles de Gaulle at its head in order to defend French control of Algeria. This hat's ridiculous. I kind of look like Five-O right now. In 1958, the trademark Velcro was registered. In 1951, the 400th anniversary of the founding of the National University of San Marcos was commemorated by the opening of the first large-capacity stadium in Peru. In 1950, the first round of the Formula One World Championship was held at Silverstone. In 1943, during World War II, German Afrika Korps and Italian troops in North Africa surrendered to the Allied forces. In 1940, Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands fled her country to Great Britain after the German invasion. Princess Juliana then took her children to Canada for their safety. Also in 1940 and also during World War II, Germany's conquest of France began as the German army crossed the Meuse. Winston Churchill then made his blood, toil, tears, and sweat speech to the House of Commons. In 1939, the first commercial FM radio station in the United States was launched in Bloomfield, Connecticut, later becoming WDRC-FM. In 1912, the Royal Flying Corps, the forerunner of the Royal Air Force, was established in the UK. In 1888, with the passing of the Lei Era, aka Golden Law, slavery was abolished in Brazil. In 1865, during the American Civil War, during the Battle of Palomito Ranch in far south Texas, over a month after Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered, the last land battle of the Civil War ended with a Confederate victory. In 1862, the USS Planter, a steamer and gunship, sailed through Confederate lines and was passed to the Union by Southern slave Robert Smalls. He later was officially appointed as captain, thus becoming the first black man to command a United States ship. Thus, in my opinion, the real world meme was started in the South when someone said, "You're killing me, Smalls!" In 1861, Pakistan, which was part of British India at the time, opened its first railway line from Karachi to Kotri. In 1861, during the American Civil War, Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom issued a proclamation of neutrality, which recognized the breakaway states as having belligerent rights. And I bet she was laughing her ass off at the thought of a country which had, not 100 years prior, done the same thing to her country that was now happening to them. In 1848, Finland's national anthem was performed for the first time. In 1846, the United States declared war on Mexico, thus starting the Mexican-US War. In 1830, Ecuador gained its independence from Gran Colombia. And in 1787, Captain Arthur Phillip left Portsmouth, England with 11 ships full of convicts, which later became known as the First Fleet, to establish a penal colony in Australia. First, Stephen Colbert, 1964, Dennis Rodman, 1961, Stevie Wonder, 1950, and that concludes the show. Once again, check the underbar for any links you may be interested in. For your dose of Passive Events Daily, I am Aozander, and you are you. Toodles!